Sometimes I get these ideas in my head and I instantly regret that I had the idea because I know I'm gonna follow through with it, but I don't wanna do it because it's gonna be a lot of work. Now, some of you are gonna think this is the stupidest thing I've ever done, but hear me out, I swear I have my reasons. And today is one of those weird full circle days for me. Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel. This week I am continuing on with my patio revamp makeover. If you're new to my channel and you didn't catch part one, let me catch you up real quick. 4 years ago, I did a makeover on my patio, but over the last 4 years of weather, wear, and 3 cats, this patio has seen better days. She's looking a little rough, honestly. She is looking a little rough. So now I am on a mission to refresh this space and make it look even better than it did before. But this isn't just a refresh, it is a little bit of an upgrade. I am trying to make decisions this time around that are going to be more durable and also make decisions that are going to be easier to keep this space clean. Because right now it is kind of a hard space to keep clean. So now that I have a newly reupholstered couch, ottoman, and some pillows, I've made some big design decisions for this patio makeover. I'm gonna be tackling 3 projects in part 2 that are going to completely transform the space. So with all of that being said, let's get to work. Guys, sometimes I get these ideas in my head and I instantly regret that I had the idea because I know I'm gonna follow through with it, but I don't wanna do it because it's gonna be a lot of work. So that being said, I'm color drenching my patio. Yay! All of these pictures of patios and sunrooms that were color drenched, I instantly fell in love with them and I knew I needed to do it. But also to achieve this balance of calm and peaceful, yet colorful, I knew I was gonna have to find the perfect color. And I had a feeling that color was going to be green. Green is a very calming color, it's very grounding, and also it is a color that I've used in my house quite a bit, so I felt like green just kind of made sense out here and fit my house. But also, if I'm gonna paint everything green, I need to find the perfect green. And I think I found that. Well, kind of. So after searching and searching and searching, I got a few samples of some greens that I liked, and the green that I absolutely love on the ceiling is Sage by Sherwin-Williams, but I absolutely hate it on the walls because it looks like a completely different color. That's lighting for ya. It can change everything. And the color that I like for the walls, I find to be just a tad too dark for the ceiling. And the more I looked at these 2 greens, the more I realized that they are really, really similar. They just have different undertones. So here's my plan. I am going to do Sage for the ceiling, and then I'm going to do Colonial Revival Green Stone for the walls. And I think these are gonna look like the same color, that they're just under different lighting, basically tricking your eye. So that is my plan. I do have a backup plan if this does not look good, but I think this is gonna work out great. And since I'm painting my ceiling and painting everything, I do have to do a little bit more prep. So I'm gonna start getting everything out of my patio. Gotta figure out a way to lift the couch and slide this out. I can do this. I did it! Oh, that wasn't hard. Okay. The last time I tackled my patio makeover, I went with this light khaki color, and it looked really nice when I first did it because it was also such a nice light and bright change from the previous brown that was on the walls. But after just 1 year, the walls and the ledges by the screen got dirty, and no matter how much I cleaned them, they never looked fresh again. So when I was planning out this makeover, I knew I wanted to go a little bit darker so that these walls and the ledges don't instantly look discolored. Also, every time I looked up at my ceilings and I saw the discoloration on my ceilings, I just couldn't stop thinking about color drenching and making everything look fresh all at once. So my patio is all hosed off. I got a little damp in the process, and I'm ready to go ahead and get some supplies. Okay, now I'm ready for tomorrow. Good morning, guys. I have a prediction for today. I am going to get very sore. Well, my arms are gonna get really sore. I'm gonna get very tired. I'm gonna get sweaty, and I'm gonna get paint in my hair. That is just my prediction, but it is an educated prediction. I'm gonna start with the ceiling because my arms are fresh, and I feel like I need fresh arms to tackle the ceiling because it's gonna be a big old pain. And I wish I could just go in with my roller, like my extension roller, and just start rolling this ceiling, but I can't do that because I've got all of these grooves that I've got to paint in. Fun. This is why I regretted the idea once I had it, because I knew this was going to be a pain. But I just keep telling myself when I'm done, it's going to feel like I brought the forest into my patio. You got to tell yourself stuff like that to get through the hard projects. Also, another bright side is that I am looking at these two little swatches on the top of the paint can. It looks so similar. So I think these like two shades of green is gonna work out, and I think it's gonna work out beautifully. Also, I'm not gonna drag out this painting process too long. Just know I'm painting, and it's gonna not be fun. Let's do this thing. I have a plan. I am going to use my paintbrush, do one swoop all the way down, then switch over to my roller to give my arms a break because using the paintbrush is really like taxing on your arms. And then I'll switch back to the paintbrush, go back to the roller. And if you're wondering why I am not using a paint sprayer, I honestly think the paint sprayer in this case would be more annoying because I'm doing two different shades of green. So I'd have to like tape off everything, do the ceiling, tear all of that down, then paint the walls, and I just think it'd be more annoying than just doing it this way. Also, I forgot to mention, when you're color drenching, you have to do a different sheen on the ceiling. So ideally you want to do a flat, but if you're painting in an area where you need it to be more durable, eggshell or satin. Since I'm using an exterior paint, I had to go with a satin because I think that's like the lowest sheen you can get in an exterior paint. Well, I just finished the second coat on the ceiling and all of my predictions came true. I've got paint in my hair, I am sweaty, my arms are incredibly sore, and I am so tired. Good morning, guys. I am so incredibly sore today. It's actually, my shoulders are fine. It's more like my neck, like I can't lift my head. So I think the ceiling looks nice from what I can tell. No, it actually looks really nice. It's so clean. Yeah, it's beautiful. I can't wait for the walls to match everything. And my original plan was to do the first coat on the ceiling and then move on to the walls, but I was so in the zone with the ceiling that when I finished the first coat, I was like, let's just go ahead and get the second coat done so that today is terrible and tomorrow is a little less terrible. And just like yesterday, I'm really not trying to drag out the painting process because I mean, I'm just painting. I feel like that's kind of boring, but I am gonna mention things that I think are important information and things that I've learned from a ton of DIYing. When I first moved into my house, I used the wrong type of paint all the time. I was really into using flat paint for like everything, and that is not the right choice. So I think the last time around, if I remember correctly, I used flat interior paint. So that is also why these ledges and everything have been so hard to clean. So this time around, I'm using an exterior paint, and it is a full gloss, which is gonna make it a lot easier to wipe down and keep this patio clean. And it's gonna be a whole lot more durable. So I'm gonna get to painting. Again, not trying to drag out the process, and hopefully we can get through the 2 coats today. Bun Buns, are you gonna be the most helpful girl painting today? Are you gonna be the most helpful baby? All right, oh, stop that. Last time I painted, she was just a baby kitten. She was so small and an only child. I think the 2 greens next to each other, I think it looks really similar, especially because this is gonna dry a lot darker. Yes, it worked out. So I forgot to do this before I started painting, oopsies, but there are a few areas where there are some gaps in the floor and like the wall here, and even over by the door, there's a few spots that have holes. So I'm gonna fill that in with foam. Once it dries, I can trim it back, and then I'll just paint it and try to make it look as seamless as possible. Okay, time to do it all over again. It is so cold. Why couldn't it have been this cold when I was painting? Why did it have to be 80 and humid? Good morning, guys. It has been a few days since I finished painting. One, I needed a day to recover. I was truly wiped out. And then yesterday I eased back into working. I did a little bit of prep for the project I'm tackling today. Then I also went ahead and did some touch-up painting on the ceiling. And then I also went ahead and painted the final thing that needed to be painted, which was the door from my kitchen to this patio. And this door also did have a storm door that my cats absolutely destroyed. Well, actually not my cats, one cat in particular. He is a 20-pound panther named Clyde. And it got to the point where the door was unfixable. No matter how much I popped it back into place, yeah, the frame just kind of broke. I'm also now a little torn. After painting the door, that made me really want to go ahead and paint this wall. It is the siding of my house, and I was originally just going to leave it how it is so that it matches the other siding that's on like the outside of the patio. But I feel like to get that true color-drenched feeling that I want out here, I think I need to go ahead and paint it. But I am truly torn. So you guys let me know. Should I paint it? Should I leave it? I don't know what to do. But anyway, let's get to today's project. The ceiling is clean. It's looking fresh. The walls are painted and looking fresh. And now it is time to tackle the final big project that is really going to clean up this space and make it feel brand new again. And that is the floors. And I am so excited to dive in to this project. And I'm doing things a little unconventional. So I'm just gonna jump in, get started, and explain as I go. As you may be able to tell, I am doing peel and stick tile out here. When I was collecting photos for my mood board and planning what I wanted to do out on the patio, every picture of a patio that had checkered tile or some kind of like checkered cement look, I absolutely loved them, and I knew I wanted to do the same look out here. I did contemplate doing a faux painted tile look, but I decided against that because this deck and this flooring is so incredibly hard to keep clean, and it's kind of annoying to clean for a lot of reasons. But one of the main reasons is that things are constantly falling through the cracks in the deck, and And there's actually a screen on the underside of this deck. Yeah, so that this patio is fully screened in, and that helps prevent bugs from getting in here. So I decided with the peel and stick, because that is gonna cover up the cracks, and I also feel like this peel and stick is going to be so much easier to wipe down, vacuum, sweep, all of that stuff. So I'm gonna get started laying down all of the easy pieces, and what I mean by that is the pieces that I don't have to cut to fit into some specific area. So I'm gonna do all of that, and then when I get to the unconventional part of this project, I will stop and explain. Okay, I think this is going to be pretty self-explanatory. It is called peel and stick flooring for a reason. So we peel and then we lay it down. Yeah, that works. Some people might put more thought behind the first piece, but I think that looks good. I just made it through my first pack of flooring. I'm opening my second pack of flooring, and I thought now was a good time to stop and explain this unconventional part of this project. So maybe you caught on, maybe you didn't, I'm not sure, but I am only going to be doing peel and stick on the perimeter of my patio. Now, some of you are gonna think this is the stupidest thing I've ever done, but hear me out, I swear I have my reasons. Reason number one, and the biggest reason, is that this cuts down on the cost of this project by hundreds of dollars. I'm pretty sure it was like $280 or close to $280 to be exact. The other reason is that I also knew I wanted to do a rug out here because I just love how cozy the rug makes it feel out here, and it felt like a waste to do peel and stick and then cover it up with a giant rug. The other main reason is that this is a deck, and so if there's ever a point where I have to have access to one of these boards, instead of having to peel up a ton of flooring, I might have to only peel up like a few pieces. I can work on the board and then re-stick the pieces down. Potentially. I'm just thinking about the future. So I know this is unconventional. I know some of you are gonna think it's stupid, but I swear there's logic and reason behind this decision, and I've put a lot of thought behind this decision. Oh, and also the pieces that are going under the rug, that are like the final pieces that I'm gonna be sticking down, I am not cutting those at all. You know, like cutting the piece in half so I can use the other half as a border piece, so that in case I ever want to replace this jute rug with something smaller, I can always add more tiles in to fill in the gaps between the flooring and the rug, if that makes sense. I think it does. So I'm gonna keep going with this flooring. Again, I'm kind of just sticking to the easier pieces and not the border pieces that I have to cut in specific ways. And then when I get to those pieces, I'll stop and kind of explain what I'm doing. Good morning, guys. So I ran into a bit of a hiccup, but I also knew this was going to happen. I ran out of flooring. I realized the night before I got started on the flooring that my calculations were off because the flooring that I got wasn't ending exactly where the rug starts. So I realized my calculations were off, and I went ahead and ordered an extra box. And yesterday, while I waited for that extra box to be delivered, I made the most of my time. I did finish up the border pieces along the back half of my patio. One, so that I could practice, because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. And then two, so I could move my couch back in place and have more space to work, because having everything piled onto the rug was getting very annoying and very cramped. Also, before I went ahead and moved my couch back in place, I went ahead and hung up the 4 back curtains again. Nothing has really changed there except that all of my curtains have gone through a nice deep soak with OxyClean bleach and detergent. That's why I love having white curtains out here, because anytime they get a little dirty, I do that and they come out looking brand new. So now I'm ready to finish up the flooring, and I'm gonna show you guys what has been working for me. So I've been going back and forth between my yardstick and my sewing ruler, because they're nice and rigid and straight, and they've just been really easy for getting the measurements I need. So I've been measuring from the point to the wall, and then I have been taking the measurement that I need from the last point of the piece to the left, and then the measurement of the point on the right-hand side to the wall. And then I mark out those 3 points. I line that up with my yardstick, and then I score it with my knife, and it breaks really easily. And then I can just pop the piece in place. That has been working for me. I'm gonna continue working on this border. If I run into any other things that I've been doing that have been helping get these floors done and get the measurements and everything, I will stop and let you guys know. I have a few other things that I forgot to mention that have been helping me. So I've got this corner piece, and I have to notch it out to work around this post. And what's been working for me is just making a template out of the paper that I rip off the back of the sheets. It's not the prettiest little template, but it works. And then for these little triangle pieces that I have right here, I have been using my paper cutter to cut those, because it's just really quick and really easy. So I'm gonna get this piece cut, and then I'll finish up my last wall and border over here. And we are done. Yay! Good morning, guys. I am in love with my patio. I got the rest of the curtains hung up, I put the furniture back in its place, and I also added one thing that I am currently obsessed with, which is a rug for on top of my jute rug. And I got this rug well over a year ago on Facebook Marketplace, and I scooped it up so fast because the person that was selling it only had it for a few months, and they were selling this like basically brand new rug that is almost originally like $500, and they were selling it for 40 bucks. So I couldn't let a basically brand new rug get away for 40 bucks, even though I had no idea where I wanted to use it in my house, or even if I was gonna be able to use it at all. I just decided to try it out here, and I love it, and it really brings the space together. So now that all of that's out of the way, on to today's project. And today is one of those weird full circle days for me. I am currently sitting on my couch, which if you saw part one, you know that this is the first project I designed and built out. This is also the first project I ever used a Craig pocket hole jig on. And if you have been a subscriber for a while, you know how much I love my Craig pocket hole jig. I use it on basically every building project. And today I'm gonna be making a coffee table using that same Craig pocket hole jig, but the full circle moment is that I am making a video for Craig about this project. I went from 4 years ago not even knowing how to use a Craig pocket hole jig to now having projects I have designed out that are featured on Craig. That is insane to me. And like I said, I am building a coffee table. I have wanted a large, square, chunky coffee table to go with this couch since basically the day I finished it. And today I am making it happen. And I'm also keeping this project super simple and, dare I say, beginner friendly. So let's head outside and get this build started. Okay guys, like I said, I am keeping this project beginner friendly. So I am making the top of this table out of 2x8s. Yeah, it's a nice, cheap, accessible piece of wood, but this is gonna be nice and sturdy, and I'm gonna do some work to it to make it look really cool and have it have some character. So I went ahead and cut 6 pieces to 43.5 inches, because I'm gonna screw 6 pieces together of these 2x8s, which is going to make it 43.5 inches wide. So my tabletop is going to be perfectly square. So to start putting these pieces together, I'm gonna do some light sanding, drill out my pocket holes using my 520 Pro, and then I can use some wood glue and some screws to pop these pieces together. Okay guys, now that my tabletop is, built and all put together, this table, or this coffee table, is basically almost done, believe it or not. The base is gonna be very, very simple and very easy. So I went ahead and purchased these cool, chunky wooden legs off of Amazon. And actually, if you saw my North Carolina thrifting video, I mentioned North Carolina is known for their furniture making, and these legs came from North Carolina. So what I need to do to these legs is drill 2 pocket holes at 2 of the corners going up. I'm gonna use those pocket holes to attach these legs to this tabletop. Then I went ahead and cut 4 1x3 pieces that are 34.5 inches long. I'm gonna drill 2 pocket holes at each end and use those pocket holes to attach them to the legs. And then I also might go ahead and drill 1 pocket hole going up so that I can use that pocket hole to also attach these boards also to the tabletop. So I'm gonna build this base and then we can go from there. The building portion of this table is done. See, I told you it was super easy. And before I go ahead and move the base and the top into my patio and put them together and stain them, it's time for me to make this table look and feel the way I want it to look and feel, which is distressed and beat up. And I want this to look like old, beat up, reclaimed wood that I found in an old abandoned house. I ripped it from like a barn or something. I don't know, something like that. That's what I'm going for. So to do that, I am going to be using a bristly brush on my angle grinder. Now, if you don't have an angle grinder, but you want to get a nice distressed look, there's all different types of ways of distressing. You could take like a hammer to the wood and just hack away at it. You could grab another kind of saw, sander, but I think my angle grinder is going to be very nice, and it's also going to make this part of the process go a little quicker. I'm going to get to distressing the top and distressing the base a little bit, and then we can get this moved inside and stain it and do all of that fun stuff. I'm just gonna test this piece out real quick, just so I get the hang of it. Oh yeah, that's gonna look so good. Okay, I got this. Guys, I built a table. I love it. I liked it before I distressed it, but now I love it. This is exactly the look I was going for. I hope some of the shots that I got outside really show what the angle grinder and the bristle brush attachment I had on it was doing, because this looks so good. It's gonna look so good once I stain it. And I just went ahead and of course moved the top and the base in here and got them attached. I measured 1 inch in from each corner so that I knew where to put the legs so that we were staying square. And then once I had the legs attached, I decided to go ahead and add a brace piece in the center so that this thing is nice and sturdy. I had a leftover 2x8 piece that was long enough that I could cut down to 40 inches. I put 2 pocket holes on each end so that I could attach that board to the frame. And then these 4 pieces, I just used some normal wood screws and screwed right into these boards so that they are attached attached to that brace piece, and now this table feels so much more solid. So I am gonna go ahead and get to staining. I'm starting with a dark stain because what I think I'm gonna do to really highlight this distressed bristle brush look that I went with on the wood, I think I'm gonna start with a dark stain, let it sit overnight, and then I think I might do a tan wash over that, but that might change. I don't know. So let me get to staining and I will see you guys in the morning. My husband says I use the word obsessed too much to describe my projects, but honestly, sometimes that is just literally the best word to describe how I feel about a project I'm working on. And right now, I am obsessed with this table, and specifically this tabletop. This looks so good. My angle grinder with the wire brush, it worked magic. And I also love the dark stain. If this was going anywhere else in my house, I would probably leave it dark. I don't want it to be dark because it's not really the look I'm going for out here. And also the technique I'm about to do is gonna make this table look even older and even more distressed. And it's also gonna highlight these grooves that I created with my angle grinder even more. And I needed this dark stain as my base so that this table in the end still has this really deep, rich, dark look to it in certain areas. So what I'm doing next is tan washing. That's basically equal parts water to equal parts paint. I don't really measure it out. I just kind of go until I like the consistency of the paint, and I'm going to be painting that over this whole table to give it a lot lighter look, but there's still gonna be some areas where this dark stain is shining through. Then once this tan washing is done, I'll do a few layers of a top coat to protect everything, and that will complete this coffee table. Here goes nothing. And that is it, guys. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I was doing 3 projects that were going to completely transform this patio. And well, to me, this patio feels completely transformed. And I could stop here. I could stop here and be totally happy with how this patio looks. But if you followed along on my living room makeover series, you know that the small details are what bring a space to the next level. And I've got so many fun projects still planned for this patio, and I can't wait to keep adding layer upon layer upon layer. It's gonna look so good in the end, but I am definitely going to sit for a while and enjoy all of the work I just did, because it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, but I absolutely love it, and it was totally worth it. The color drenching did exactly what I wanted it to do. It's colorful out here, but yet still very peaceful and calming. And on a more sunny day, it's kind of like overcast today, but on a more sunny day, the green in the trees, everything outside really makes the green in here pop. It really does make it feel like I brought the forest and the greenery in here. I absolutely love it. And even though I love the color drenching, what made the biggest difference is the floors. Hands down. It's been about a week since I finished them, and it already has been so easy to clean up out here. Sweep, mop, vacuum. The floors made the biggest difference. And the final project that really brought this space together, my coffee table. This is truly like the coffee table of my dreams. I love it. It's so pretty and it fits this space so well. The coffee table before was really small and only like a few people could use it if you were sitting on my couch. But now this coffee table is so big that no matter where you're sitting on my patio, you can easily reach this coffee table and set a drink down or set whatever down. It's just so nice. Also, if you want to go ahead and build your own version of this coffee table, my plans for this coffee table are now available on craigtool.com. I will put a link in the description. You can also go ahead and check out my other project plans that I have with them. So that is it for part 2. I hope you guys liked this video and these 3 projects. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.